I keep a vlog over here for anybody who's curious about anything. And if you're wanting instant gratification on YouTube or something kick-ass and wonderful and amazing, this is not your destination. I said it last time. It may take shape, it may not. Let's see. I think I've proved that the most loved beast in America and Japan is Godzilla. It helps me to have some reminders. Oh, a cool day, and this is how what I kind of set all this up to happen 6 months ago. It's been 6 months now since I started working 20-hour days doing this. The songs reminded me of a couple of things here. Anymore, I just do them, post them, look at them, make sure they're good, and then check back once a day, every 2 or 3 days, and look at them. I don't really pay that much attention, and then all the comments come through an email, which reminds me, I'm coming up on now what? It's always one thing or another message. Now what? Coming up on 3,000 subscribers and 50,000 some hits. And but yeah, Godzilla is beloved worldwide. The most loved and cherished animal in all countries. I did a cover of Godzilla that is nice, but he doesn't have a thumbs down yet. It's been 48 hours. Usually it's within an hour or two, there's a flurry of thumbs down on stuff that's pretty good. Some I can see on some stuff. Some of the stuff that's kind of wacky about, I need to look at while I'm talking maybe, is, first of all, I'm sitting here by this computer, and in the summer it was particularly bad this way. That sucker is just spewing out nothing but pure Mac Pro. I think there's a bunch of fans in there. Don't quote me. I think there's 11 fans in there, keeping everything just so. Spewing heat all over me. It's cooler now. Oh yeah, Godzilla. I wanted to have and I need to things of interest to. I use a PC keyboard on my Mac. It's just a cheap keyboard, and there's an application called Double Command that allows you to remap the keys for a Mac. So I'm using a PC keyboard, and but my Double Command in the last 2 or 3 days is coming uninstalled. It's just a little like 300K scripty type application or a shell type thing. It's real light. Then oh yeah, Godzilla. Somebody from Sony Music, a legitimate site too, from Sony Music International, subscribed to me this morning and had favorited Britney Spears' Toxic, favorited and liked, which I used to be a record industry guy, and that's one of the things that I sort of seeded this towards. I have a computer that does all my marketing, and I searched out every record executive on the planet when I first started and did a send to them, and I'll redo that again. But that's another reason I've been doing these pop songs, is that and kind of tricky ones is to do on guitar, is that it sort of attracts positive attention, and the guitar is a really beloved instrument. People are really into guitar, and I love it myself. Played it my whole life, own tons of them. It is an amazing deal, and a very expressive, fluid instrument where you can bend the strings and change tonalities and stuff. But lately I see it as more of a paintbrush, and not just don't see myself as a guitar player. Man, that Godzilla, no thumbs down and 50 up. He's really doing good. It's a fun. I cannot look at it or do it without laughing. I'm doing a bunch of guitar work now too, and it all sounds real good. I did a version of "She Blinded Me with Science." That I think will gain notoriety as it picks up steam. You know what a lot of this is showing is that there's a lag between what happens in marketing and on the internet and what happens in real life. But I mean, I don't know if that was the president of Sony Records or an underling, but it's positive. I mean, I know how the industry works. You can't, few and far between. Speaking of that, Japan and Sony and stuff, that would be a good place for me to end up, and they could take care of all of these little marketing things and crap, and and that is something that I've been targeting from the top to happen. And now, not just because it's me, but because of the quality of the stuff I'm doing when I stand back, the sound quality. And really, I must say, some of the artistic calls have just been Lulu's. It's ready for a home and a major label. So, that would be ultimate for me to have them do all of the administrative marketing and sales and promotion and placing it in movies and getting paid. She Blinded Me with Science reminded me of, and Japan. Reminded me of supermodels, and that reminded me of all these girls in LA. A lot of people may not know this, but first of all, the exchange rate is really, really high, and it will cost you like $400 to take a cab from Tokyo International to a hotel. It's crazy. So people can make money really quick, but all these American girls go over there, and LA girls. And these companies in Japan have agencies in LA that basically grab these like model types, which reminds me of my good friend Bunky. And they go over to Japan. These young, hot American girls, just like we dig Asian chicks, they like American girls too, And so they get them over there, and they do what's called hostessing, which, it's not. I'm sure some hanky-panky goes on, just like the whole geisha thing. Oh, they're not prostitutes. Yeah. Rule number one in life, you put men and women together, there's going to be a little, a little, a lot of that going on. That's just a fact, But, my friend Bunky, a lot of, like, LA girls who want to be actresses and models who are already get these jobs, and they're like ridiculous amounts of money, and they go make a ton of money and come back with the exchange rate way in their favor. And here's a girl who's at that time, and a lot of them I knew did it, but she had like several $100,000 from hostessing for a year in Japan, and was just kicking back on that. An 18-year-old or 21-year-old girl. Her name is Rebecca Jones, Bunky Jones. She was also in that, you can Google it, in several movies. I think, was there an original Scream? I never actually saw. I did see Frankenstein General Hospital. Terrible movie she's in. She's the one that shows her tits. It's not that kind of a movie either. She just flashes them, and it's crazy. And she had this professor of metallurgical science boyfriend who went with her at the time, who just it's a crazy. Anyway, Dr. J, he had designed some metal that could not be worn out. It was amazing. I don't know what happened with that. That was 30 years ago. On everything from brake pads to whatever, a certain type of bonding and electrochemical process was used. You could not destroy this damn metal easily. If anything can be destroyed, trust me. She Blinded Me with Science. I think that'll gain some notoriety as it picks up steam. The whole thing's picking up steam on its own without me having to market. It's then somebody from on Mercy Street, the songs remind me of certain things. I thought I'd sit here for a little bit. I just woke up too, and I'm I did like several Zeppelin songs that came out epic. You know what it is in the Godzilla thing, and it reminded me people love guitar. That's why I started doing this too, was to show that I play, but also that when I started doing it, I was like, it's getting hot in here, by the way. My thoughts were some really well-produced guitar songs would be really popular, you know. And, I mean, any song done with guitar, crazy songs. I did Britney Spears' Toxic all on guitars. And a lot of times I play all the way through, and then there's sequencing and sampling and all kinds of stuff that goes on too to tighten it up. But, you know, and triggering and gating, and then some of them are just guitar tracks all the way through, cleaned up. I clean up the sound and the hum and the hiss and the crap off everything. I work in Logic Pro, by the way. But yeah, I just got up. I'm drawing a kind of a lull, and this is officially a lull in the vlog. Yeah, I can't find Bunky anywhere. I've been Googling her off and on for several years. I know, well, she might be dead. She was a heroin addict. But at the same time, I thought that throughout the 90s, I thought she was dead. I knew her in like the late 80s, early 90s, and I thought she was dead. No, she turned up at an AA meeting, and where I was speaking nonetheless, and clean and sober, and we were friends after that for a few years, and then I didn't. That was in the early 2000s, and I didn't see her. Beautiful girl, neat girl, insane girl, gypsy, real gypsy, like gorgeous supermodel, kind of living out of her car, yet she had tons of money. Just a crazy girl. Ran over one of the parking lot attendants one day, running the lot. And listen to this, ran over the parking lot attendant, running the gate because she didn't want to pay parking. We lived behind Baby O behind Island Records on Sunset in the parking lot. And she ran over one of the parking lot attendants, Hamid, and she was so beautiful, she ran over the guy, and he managed to he was, you know, hurt, but he managed to walk over to her, and she's so gorgeous, she talked her way out of it, you know. I mean, the cops impounded her car later, so gorgeous and so gypsy. She went into the impound lot and sweet talked her way into the car, and then ran through that gate and got her car back, you know, and got away with it. My kind of gal. So yeah, I mean, I'm doing like a lot of Led Zeppelin songs. I did 3 or 4. I don't even remember which ones I did. I do that unless I'm sitting at the computer reading it. I don't remember it. So Godzilla is a popular beast. She blinded me with science. The girl lingerie girls sparked the ire of some people, but mostly beloved. 30 thumbs up, 6 down in a few days, 600 hits. November 5th, Godzilla, 50 thumbs up. November 7th, just a couple days ago. And, or is it November? Yeah, it was 2 days ago. 50 thumbs up, almost 700 hits. Pink Floyd, the hater who did that, he has 1 thumbs down. Told me he was going to do it and did it. It wasn't that he didn't care for it. Anymore I could give a shit less. But these are sort of overall. It just allows me to track overall trends. And Mercy Street, weird thing today. You know, one of the things that happens when you go to a lot of those, they don't like you to say AA, those 12-step groups, you know. But and I don't anymore. I did for a long time, and was, you know, managed to be clean and sober many years without it, and so on. But they say you have a spiritual experience of the educational variety, meaning like you just do a practice, like hang out there and read all the literature and listen to stuff and go consistently. And then there's yet another one. Oh, real hellhole. Cool. Anyway, yeah, somebody sent me a link from Russia today. That Brad Pitt in a zombie-looking movie that looked amazing. The look of it, I'd never seen anything like it. Awesome. So I forwarded it. Of course, I spammed my friends with it, you know, YouTube. But they say you have in other words, you do something so much you don't realize, oh, wow, I've really, like, changed. You know, people go to the 12-step group meetings for so long. It happened to me. And they say you have a spiritual experience of the educational variety, meaning you don't have like a God, angels type experience, but then one day you realize, oh, wow, holy shit, I'm completely different than I used to be. How exactly did that happen? And then you go, wait a minute, something has happened. There you go. Anyway, I read a comment on somebody left a comment on Mercy Street in Portuguese, and I read it when I first woke up without thinking about it, as if it were in English. And it's not like, you know, oh my God, because I don't speak Portuguese or read it, never have. Spanish and Chinese, yes, and so I used to speak some Russian. But yeah, I read a comment in Portuguese, understood it, and it was a good one. And as if for English, then when I came back, I realized, oh, that was in Portuguese. But really the reason that's happened is a lot of people from Portugal, and not a whole lot, but like, you know, probably, I don't know, 50, 100 in the last few weeks have commented on stuff. And I wondered what the word, everything's like Linda, and it means like beautiful, wonderful. And so I spent a day actually looking at studying Portuguese, just curious how it was mixed with Spanish, kind of. But yeah, so anyway, you know, that's a sort of an example of a spiritual or a kind of a vast experience of the. And don't ask me to translate Portuguese or anything like in that movie with that one guy with that thing and that stuff. If you guys haven't seen a movie called Scott Pilgrim versus the World, it's definitely fun. It's maybe if you're a YouTube person, you might like it, but I don't remember the movie, but the guy could basically do anything, and John Travolta phenomenon, yeah. Not like that. It's of the experiential variety, where I've just done it so much that all of this stuff, producing everything, that I wonder where I'm at time-wise. I could read, basically, you know, scan and understand and read Portuguese and a few other languages. But that was that one I read is English. I was halfway through making a cup of tea when I went, oh man. And then you go like, well, I've done it and looked it up so many times, like 50 times. I've translated those to English and read them. So anyway, but it's one of those times where you go, something has happened here that's curious. But it happened with every language I learned, you know. One day, after studying Chinese for only like 2 years, almost, well, every day, I was speaking Chinese, and I saw it on a recording, and I went, oh, holy shit, I speak Chinese, you know. Pretty good still, not great, pretty good. I can understand it, you know, pretty good, and speak it. I have a wife and a son, both speak Chinese. And anyway, I did have. So yeah, I am. That was cool. Somebody from Sony Music International and the main, like a legitimate deal with the main thing, was looking into what was going on. And that's something that when I was an executive and developed talent for labels and stuff, that happens, you know, where when you find, hopefully they'll get some kind of a bidding war to license and do stuff, because I've done all this before. It's not a guy talking out of his hat here, and the stuff is definitely professionally done, so in both, you know, production and sound quality, and artistically up to snuff to where it could be easily featured in films or on, you know, people would buy it. Especially this guitar-based stuff. I'm doing like heavy mosh pit style guitar with pop songs, and I know I said that, but you know, the goal of that was to get some sort of broad appeal. That always reminds me of another great movie, American Psycho. Now that one's for everybody. He's talking about Phil Collins. He's a serial killer, you know, but he's like rich and kind of clever, and he's trying to get people to notice like who he really is. I won't spoil it for you, but it doesn't work out for him in the end. Seems like it's just going to go on, but you'll see if you ever watch American Psycho. And he's talking about Phil Collins right before he's going to bang a couple of hookers and then murder them, or murder one of them at least. Or does he? I don't know. Anyway, he says Phil Collins' early work was, you know, more appealing in a broader sense. Something like that, you know. It's hilarious the way he describes it. He goes, yet his next set of songs was more selective, you know, and more, you know, narrowly. Anyway, he just talks in a whole circle about stupid shit like people always talk about pop songs. It's something. It's more, his next set of songs was more thoughtful and therefore less appealing in a broad sense, but more appealing in an overall, I mean, just insanity. He thinks Phil Collins, which I love Phil Collins, actually. I'm doing a couple of his songs. I found a couple of his covers I did that are great. But he thought, but Susudio was not his productions are awesome, but it's not like a great anything. And he thinks, the American Psycho guy thinks Susudio is just the ultimate tune. It's like the ultimate, you know, sort of pop throwaway thing. It's funny how I haven't been outside in several days. I finally passed out today. I think I've been up, you know. I don't do drugs or anything. It's just, you know, I'm on a mission here. I haven't eaten again in a few days. All I have is popcorn, and that's for 7 more days. Yeah, I realized I was out of food. I don't have any. And I'm a week away from getting to the store. I've lost 44 pounds since I started this. I tend to kind of throw everything towards the door, and then when I go out, put it in there. So there you go. Being an editor and with camera sense all this time, I've kind of been shooting with not really showing people the minutia of stuff, like little daily stuff, and how stupid, because that's something that makes things interesting, is to show them the little minutia of, like, you know, inserts, extreme close-ups. That's why James Cameron is brilliant. Look at the Terminator films. When the station wagon runs over that truck in the first of Terminator 2, or the station wagon runs over the child's toy, and then all of those, his boots coming down on glasses and stuff just for a second, it really gives you the contrasty kind of feeling of like, oh, this thing doesn't give a damn about anything, it'll destroy anything, kind of a feeling. It says that in the language of film in just a mic in less than like a 3-second edit. Those little kind of, like, you know, a man's hand smoking it sort of says a lot about the character and develops them really quickly. Those extreme close-ups, but they can also get really campy, or they can be overdone. Let's see. Man, I hadn't been outside in a few days. Got to get some food. Maybe that's why I've been tired and out of energy. Duh. Let's see here. These are the only warm shirts I have. I used to have these Oscar shirts, which are, I haven't even told the whole story of these. They're rare, awesome. You have to work for the Academy, win an Academy Award, or be nominated for one to get one. And I went to the Academy Awards every year for 8 years, but I had a whole bunch of them. And these things out here, I was going to say these red things, but in those tubs right here, had a whole bunch of these shirts, and they're extremely valuable. It's like being a cop in Hollywood, having this on. People know you can't get it anywhere. They know you're associated with the Academy, and it opens doors like you wouldn't believe for you. But a bunch of them got soaked in rain in there, and I had like 20, 30, maybe 40 of them, and they got soaked in rain. I'll catch a shot of this guy going by. Hi, howdy. Oh, it's that good. I got him on video. It's that guy. He's completely insane. I didn't know who that was. But they got soaked in rain, and they got that rain rod on them. I just had the garbage man take them away. Along with, there's my faithful mount. Along with, let's see, there's a whole bunch of wires and cables from my studio set up. I had bundles and duffel bags and duffel bags full of, easily $50,000, $100,000 worth of cables and crap, XLR, SP diff, 75 ohm coax, everything, any cable you can imagine, and many of those. And it got wet, and I threw them all out too. RCA, you name it, I had it. Oh, the thing about cables and Monster Cable, a lot of people, they want to spend $100 on a RCA consumer. First of all, in the consumer market, there's not that much difference between a $50 stereo, well, let's say a $500 stereo and a $5,000 stereo. Not that much difference. Second thing is, if you really think about cabling, you want to have insulated, shielded cabling. I use 75 ohm coax in my studios a lot, wired it myself, or designed it and had guys wire it sometimes. The shielding is the thing with cabling. But Monster Cable, it's like $100 for 2 inches of it. It's crazy, because if you think about it, you take the back of your stereo off, and that suddenly there's like 2 tiny little wires in there carrying that Monster Cable signal, and oxygen, and all that's just, it's bullshit. There's some science and truth to it, mostly bullshit to sell you something that you don't need. But do use cheap but well shielded cable. But Monster, yeah, take the back of your stereo off. You have this huge, big thick cable carrying that signal, and then you open up the back of the stereo, and there's 2 tiny little wires passing it on. So, just kind of silliness. Yeah, I'm at this dead end little cul-de-sac. Looks like there might be something on the lens. I like the look of this fence, and that building over there has a unique look too. But yeah, I'm forgetting a lot of stuff, and I finally got this camera down. No kidding, it has to be exactly 90 degrees perpendicular in front of you. This is for me though. Waterproof, which means probably coke and drink and spill, and this is actually, I threw it in a mud puddle one day. Look at it, it's on one of my vlogs. But yeah, other than that, a lot of chest pain right now. Even so bad today, I've kind of passed out for a while. People who follow this kind of know what's happening. But I guess I've said everything of like partial value, if any of it is. I often wonder. It's getting cooler out. This is like a retirement community, so there's like buku old people. I like that buku Vietnamese. A lot of words start from wars. Hui, you're full of hui. It's a Russian word. It means dick. When I was learning Russian. Anyway, but from World War II, a lot of people say, well, you're full of hui. So I say me hui, suck my dick in Russian. That came from World War II, but in the country we say, oh, you're full of hooey. Never realized it was an actual word. But the people who were in World War II learned that, brought it home, and then sort of passed it on without really, no significado de palabra. So yeah. I guess it's time for a poltergeist or pissed off rapper ending. I usually do poltergeist, but I'm gonna cop a toot and do pissed off rapper ending. It's like, yo, because all the rappers on YouTube, it's always the same. That's one of the handy things about doing YouTube, is I can now see all of these overall patterns and trends and what people are doing, liking, seeing, talking about, but in a really deep, useful, meaningful way. But all the rappers do all the same shit. The danger of rap is everybody thinks they can do it. It is an art form. It is great, but very few can. Anyway, and they have to have a bad attitude, of course. It's like shoot and kill and, fucking piss and shoot and kill more. Yo, peace. They always do that. But they always do this with their cameras. They gotta knock it around, make some noise, and act angry, like pissed off rapper, and it goes like, yo, peace out, motherfuckers.